New tonight at 11, controversial changes to the nuisance ordinance in Barberton could end up costing residents after more than 2 calls to police. News 5's Megan Hickey is looking into the law and spoke with some critics of the change who worry the new law could hurt legitimate victims.
More than 2 calls to police in certain circumstances could lead to a $100 fine, and the fines go up from there.
911, what's your emergency?
The definition of nuisance calls in Barberton is expanding. Now it includes unruly children and unspecified acts of violence. And after 3 calls,
How old are they? Ma'am, how old are they?
residents could be fined. It passed this week 7-1, but not everyone's thrilled.
That is so broad that where does it stop?
Resident Megan Adair spoke up at the council meeting earlier this week, arguing that fines should not be the first solution to incessant calls.
If there's unruly children, maybe this is something that needs to be referred to a counselor.
Police asked City Council for the change after repeated calls from families fighting and unruly juveniles. The lone dissenter, Ward 1's Shannon Conrad Wokajants.
I want people to be treated fairly, equally.
Wokajants worries that the fines could deter legitimate victims from calling for help because they fear being fined.
When we start potentially telling people that them, as a property owner or landlords, can be fined because of these calls, we are targeting victims of crime, and I'm not okay with that.
She did hours of research on the topic and convinced the council to amend the ordinance to exclude victims of domestic violence, but she still feels it's an overreach.
I don't believe we should be passing laws that are so broad, and too much power is not a good thing.
The police chief has said the fines will only be applied in the most extreme circumstances, but some residents aren't satisfied.
You try to figure out what the problem is rather than slapping a fine on it.
There is an appeals board for anyone who feels that the fines have been given out unfairly. Councilwoman Wokajants hopes that this issue will be addressed at the state level. In Barberton, Megan Hickey, News 5.